as the East African community, need to be educated on different cultures, on different countries. So can the U-Lead Summit provide a platform like Expo? Like just like an expo where each country has a booth that give information about their country, the language they speak, the cultures. They can even bring products from their own countries.
Ideally, we leave it to the creativity of the countries to determine what they're going to bring here in the form of cultural exchange. We have never prescribed. We need to conduct consultative meetings with different stakeholders. We have the MPs, the members of parliament, the government. We even have to use these religious leaders, even the media, by the way. They should be part and parcel peace building of our different nations. And the next recommendation is there is the need to conduct trainings on post-conflict reconciliation and stabilization. As youth, we need that information because remember, knowledge is power.
Africa, tusonga mbele mama Africa, Africa,
Kopamo Africa, Mauritanie wonse, yahe, tete, bonjour, mamo.
tusonga mbele mama Africa, Africa, tusonga mbele mama Africa, Africa,
What can we do to reduce unemployment? Can we be job creators rather than just job seekers?
The only business you can go into, whether you are a public figure, or public official, or otherwise, and nobody will trace you or probe you, is agriculture.
This is where the ideas of young people can begin snowballing.
We need to get into technological innovation. Since 2021, investors have thrown $940 million into technology companies in Africa. So technology is the way to go.
It is important that whatever is done at policy level is disseminated to the users or to the beneficiaries.
What is your ideal Africa that you wish to have?
Africa which supports the youth, because the youth are the innovative and they can move Africa.
An Africa driven by business, trade and investment.
It's a united Africa, one Africa by Africans and for Africans.
I want the FCFTA to be for the young people and driven by the young people.
Buy East Africa, build East Africa. That is the brand we need to put across. That is the song we should be singing as youth.
Mine, it is Africa that is borderless.
I think it's important to start to aim low, to build your business, to have some experience and then be confident enough to go beyond, from your village to the next town, to the region.
East Africa is a home of close to almost 200 million people. And if you are to go and design a product, one product, however small it is, you'll be assured of 200 million people. If you are selling that product for $1, and you are able to get that market, that's the money you'll be able to make. You can make Africa the factory of the world. It is possible.
It is a great privilege to be part of this important youth event, and allow me to express his deepest appreciation to you. He's so proud of you, of what you're doing, particularly you lead and the youth present there, but also at the continental level. As we continue to nurture the young people, the young generation, we must acknowledge that they need key technical skills to become more competitive in the process of realizing the African Continental Free Trade Area, and also to encounter various challenges related to financing and ease of movement.
I like the idea of having a forum where people from all walks of life and from the various social, economic, and political backgrounds sitting together under one roof to discuss issues of common interest. The Arusha debate will seek to discuss and highlight pressing African issues which would require regional, continental, and global policy attention and action. This kind of focus of the Arusha debates is something I wholeheartedly welcome and support. A successful Arusha debates will add another significant milestone to the Arusha brand. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say that I have no doubt in my mind that you'll be able to deliver the Arusha debates as a world-class undertaking. If they could do it with Davos, we can also do it with Arusha. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, after those many words, it is now my singular honor and pleasure to declare the inaugural Arusha debates officially open. Best of luck.
Giving it back to GIZ for supporting this initiative. Please stand up on your feet and give a rousing appreciation to GIZ. Please do that.
So thank you so much, and also to the entire management. Pass our appreciation.
Document that is required.
So in the case
yes.
where
but
I
where you are non-compliant,
yes.
where you are, I've said where you are compliant,
yes.
that process must be completed within the service level, the time agreed on by that department.
We're going to hear from your representative, who will also give us a few remarks in less than 5 minutes. And then, once he's done, we'll see your performance. So get ready, embrace yourself, whether you're going to start from there and come through. Let us know how much space you want.
One Young Africa, we say yes to one Africa market. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's good morning. Good evening, Africa. My name is Beatrice Marandu. I'm going to be your host today. Just to quickly introduce myself, I am Tanzanian and I work for the You Lead Africa team. It is my first time hosting Unplugged since last year. If we have our day one participants since last year. Some of you might have seen me before. We have a fun session for you today. And you guys that have been with us since day one might be happy to know that we're bringing back our trivia days, where we're going to be hosting, we're going to be having a series of trivia questions around innovation and trying to make this space a bit more fun like it used to be. My colleagues on the call will also be supporting me today, and they will introduce themselves in the chat and respond to any questions. For those of you who are tuning in on Facebook, following on Twitter, and any other social media platforms, feel free to drop the questions on there as well. My colleagues will catch it and also bring it forward for us to be able to respond to. Feel free to also use the chat room to introduce yourself. Kindly indicate your name, country, and let us know what are your thoughts of today's session topic around innovation. Also, we will be allowing for questions to be asked directly to our guest speakers. So feel free again to jump on board when we open the space for questions and address your questions to the guest speakers. So speaking of innovation, Tanzania is currently implementing what we call Innovation Week under the theme of sustainable development. And for our Swahili audience on call today, Ubunifu kwa maendeleo endelevu. Apologies to the French-speaking audience. Maybe I'll ask my colleagues who are on the call and they can translate it in French as well and drop it in the chat. But we're really trying to, deep dive into how innovation is helping the continent grow, but also how Tanzania is taking strides into pushing innovation for sustainable development. So Innovation Week, in brief, because I don't want to take away from the opportunity for my guests to speak about it, is a platform and a space that allows innovators, different ecosystem enablers, so the innovation hubs that have been popping up, supporting businesses and innovators thrive in their spaces, policymakers and various stakeholders to connect and share experiences. And hopefully something like this, Innovation Week Tanzania, could inspire many other spaces to really shine light on innovation across the continent, to support development on all fronts. But as I mentioned, I don't want to take away from the experts and the guest speakers who are going to be on the call today to share a bit more on innovation and its processes that are unfolding this week in Tanzania. So on that note, let me also take a moment to introduce and recognize our guest speakers on the call who will be sharing more about the topic. So our first guest speaker is Joseph Manirakiza. And he's turned his video on. So he is a development professional with 15 years of experience in private sector, innovation fund management, academia, and development finance. So he has quite a variety of experience being in the innovation space. He's currently leading and implementing the Funguo Innovation Program under UNDP Tanzania, a program that joined after the completion of Human Development Innovation Fund and UK Innovation Program in Tanzania, which had the mandate to accelerate and support innovative projects around health, education, and WASH. So he'll be sharing a bit more on that topic. And our second guest speaker is Isaac Shayo, Program Manager for Westawele Startup House based in Arusha. He is experienced in program management with over 4 years of managing entrepreneurship, innovation, technology under programs such as Vodacom Accelerator, Vodacom Innovation Hub, Digital Masterclasses, and the Global Entrepreneur Program, ISEC. So I hope we have some of those alumni on the call today. So they can also, inquire a bit more around innovation and what they're also, and share a bit about what they're also doing. And he will be speaking on, what Arusha is doing around innovation a bit later on in the conversation. So maybe let's jump into it and invite our guest speaker, Joseph, to tell us what is Innovation Week and what really inspired this concept of Innovation Week and how it has been unfolding this entire week. Karibu, Joseph.
Yeah, thanks, Beatrice. I think you have actually done a great job by just making myself irrelevant now because you have said everything that I was supposed to say, right? All right, just to compliment what you have said, thank you for having me for the first time on this series. I think it's a great innovative idea which is going to bring together the African innovation enthusiasts to take our Africa forward. So Innovation Week Tanzania, it's an idea that started back in 2015, and that was more of an activity of the then Human Development Innovation Fund, which we were implementing since 2014. But in 2015, when we thought about how do we introduce our project, people that were funding them to the public, because then the innovation ecosystem in Tanzania was very nascent. So some team members said, why don't we just do Innovation Week? Well, it was kind of a new idea because I think then we only had, there was only one event known as Innovation Week. I think there was Global Innovation Week then. So even Nairobi Innovation Week hadn't started. So that's how it started, just a small event with the Commission of Science and Technology with only 500 participants, just to showcase what we're funding and have people also exhibit, like those who had stuff that we're doing, just to kind of showcase what they're doing. And they're having just discussion. Then the idea grew from there in 2016, still with COSTECH. At COSTECH, the number grew to 1,000. So it kept on growing until we got now like the other partners joining, the private sector joining in. We had, I think, actually the first private sector to support it was Vodacom in 2018. At the moment we are talking about, last year we recorded over 7,000 participants across 9 regions in Tanzania, and that's not now including Zanzibar in the region. And it's an idea that has been adopted by government. So right now the Innovation Week is the government agenda. It's being run under the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology. So we are basically supporting them, working with the COSTECH, the Commission of Science and Technology. And it's gone to 16 locations, Arusha included. So the whole purpose is actually to take it countrywide, because that's what the Prime Minister, when he was closing last year's Innovation Week, is like, you should take this to the district level. So that the discussion we're in with the ministry right now, like how far can we go? So this time, like, we need to give ourselves a challenge to go to at least 16. So how that works, I think you have seen that there hasn't been actually a presence of ourselves in any place. So we just let our partners run it. So it's just a platform which is free for anyone. As long as you have something innovative that you can actually do, you can showcase, you can host conversations. And the purpose really is exactly how you said it. One, it's an opportunity for us to be able to get, because there are so many innovators who are doing great stuff that we don't get to see. So we want them to use that platform to actually be seen, and they can connect with partners, they can connect with funders. And you also use the platform to be able to discuss the opportunities that are out there and the challenges that people are facing. So right now we're having so many policymakers joining a lot of conversations out there, and some of the challenges actually get to be known, because sometimes we make a mistake that policymakers know what the innovators are facing, but they just opt not to solve their challenge. But that's not true. In most cases, they don't actually know. So by having platforms like this, it kind of get them together. They get to understand, they get to see firsthand on what actually happening or what potential is out there, and how it could be if they could remove some of the regulatory bottlenecks that are not necessarily important. So because sometimes you have like a policy which is outdated, like a policy that was drafted, let's say 20 years ago. We are in a technology-driven world, and you expect to use the same policy to kind of solve the challenge of this century. It's not possible. So that's when they when they hear the innovators themselves, like, okay, probably we never thought about this, so we are going to do something around it. So in a nutshell, that's what Innovation Week Tanzania is. And I'm glad now that it has become now in Africa, it's more of a, it's common because I think immediately after we started, 1 month later, there was Nairobi Innovation Week. I've been to Nairobi Innovation Week. It looks great. Oh. I think they advanced much faster than we did. Last year, I think 2 years ago, Africa Innovation Week was introduced, which is great. And Kampala Innovation Week is also in there. So now we are seeing like that kind of movement. And I think it's a great thing that we should probably think about now how we can do now the East Africa-wide Innovation Week, whether it's virtual, whether it's physical. So that's something that we need to do. So it's not just an event, it's a platform that cannot be used by, in many ways, to push what we'd like to see. And yeah, so that's in a brief what Innovation Week Tanzania is all about, and that's how it came out to be. Yeah, thank you.
That is a lovely snapshot of, the history of Innovation Week. I do like the fact that you mentioned it's very decentralized and that you partners take on different roles to really, enhance and amplify based off of their district and local context, and really showcase what they're doing in the different regions across Tanzania. Also, the numbers are pretty impressive, from 500 participants to 1,000 and now 7,000 just in Tanzania. So imagine replicating that number all across the regions that are countries that are now just embarking on, putting Innovation Week in their calendars. You did mention something about government involvement in the context of Tanzania, Ministry of ICT. So I know Tanzania has made a few strides in innovation technology. I wouldn't say we are the most technologically advanced within the East African region bloc. We're bringing in various players into the innovation ecosystem. So I really want to understand what efforts are being taken by the government to ensure that this space is thriving. Highlighting more, the government role and their participation, and have they really taken it on? Because I know this is the first year that you have proper engagement with the government in terms of, legitimizing it and really including it in the annual plans. So maybe elaborate a bit more on that, and maybe we could hear how best other governments can really get into this process all across the region and the continent as well, and what role they can play in facilitating the innovation space to thrive.
Yeah, thanks, Beatrice. Actually, right now, I think we are in a good place. The government is quite engaged. I wouldn't say that we are doing much better than the other East African countries. I think statistics tell a different story. And also in terms of how institutionalized some of the work within the innovation space is. Because, for instance, if you look at Kenya, I think it was the first country to have actually a ministry specific for innovation technology. We still don't have that, although we are very much engaged. The same in Uganda, I think they actually have a ministry also which includes innovation, and the government is quite more engaged. But in Tanzania, we're also getting there. We actually now have two ministries which kind of look at the same. If you talk about the digital innovation, there is the Ministry of Communication, Information and ICT, where the digital innovation kind of falls in. And the overall innovation systems, everything is kind of governed under the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, and there is a dedicated Department of Science and Technology and Innovation. There is a talk of kind of reforming COSTECH to actually make it more of an innovation agency, which is akin of what Kenya has right now, because there's Kenya Innovation Agency, which actually looks after that. And I have seen that most counties in Kenya have got innovation hubs, which are actually county run, which is a good thing. So I think there are quite a number of good examples we can emulate from the other countries, but also making some strides in here. In terms of Innovation Week, like involvement of the government, the biggest step was made back in 2019 when the government instituted what they call the National Competition of Science and Technology Innovation. In Kiswahili, it's more of mashindano ya kitaifa something. I'm sure I'm losing some people there, but that's fine. Yeah, so that was basically meant to, because they felt like innovation has been a think of the city. So it was just that centered, a bit of Arusha, a bit of Mbeya, Mwanza, and Iringa. So they're like, what can we do to actually unearth those grassroots innovators who are doing great stuff, but they do not get to be seen? So that's how they instituted now this National Commission on Science and Technology Innovation. And it's an annual thing that has been happening since then. And they get the best ideas to Dodoma or anywhere that gets to be decided to actually showcase and do big exhibitions, and they get awarded. So that now has been embedded into the Innovation Week Tanzania. So that where now the government said, okay, we actually can take over the whole agenda of Innovation Week Tanzania and run it and have this competition be part of it. To us, that was a win, because initially it was just being done as a program activity. And for any development project, when you do something, the government adapt it, that's like the biggest win you can have. So that's now what we are doing is basically to support the efforts of the government to make it more successful and then more sustained as it can be. So great things have happened. I think we are seeing a lot of responses. Now the discussion are happening about having the Startup Act. I know Kenya is much more advanced in terms of that kind of discussion. But actually, it has already been enacted in Kenya. In Uganda, it's happening. I mean, the discussion on so in Tanzania, that kind of discussion has been happening as well. So there's quite a lot that is happening at the moment, and then we can hope for the best. I think things are going to look up for innovators in the region.
I love hearing the fact that there is even policy conversations around innovation and really entrenching it into our systems. And it's also good to hear that the government has been playing a very important role in really recognizing innovators from grassroots to national to regional levels as well. But in the meantime, thank you so much, Joseph, for elaborating on that a bit more. I would quickly pause and invite the audience to see if they have any questions for you around innovation. Week Tanzania, but also the broader knowledge around innovation and how it's been growing all across the different spaces. While we wait for people to raise their hands, feel free to use the reactions on the Zoom to allow yourself to be able to speak. While we wait for a few hands to come up, just to make a few announcements, if you do want to know a bit more about Innovation Week Tanzania and what is happening across the different regions in Tanzania, feel free to, we shared the link on the chat as well, www.innovationweektanzania.org. I know in Arusha, we have a number of activities that have been ongoing. We also wrapped up our activity around digital collaborations and how best to entrench it into our organizational work and how we can use innovative tools and platforms that are out there and entrench it into those spaces that we are in. Just to also announce that we are now going to be heading into our trivia segment. I know many have missed it, and we had kind of put a break on that for quite some time. So I see there is a hand in the chat. I mean the participants. Anita?
Thank you, Beatrice. So my question. Oh, okay. So my question is Joseph mentioned the fact that what was done around Innovation Week in Tanzania was replicated in a lot of the countries in the EAC, and that it's also being seen across the continent. So my question is around, are there any plans in the works for something regional, like with a regional grounding to happen for like ESC, something like ESC Innovation Week? I know he talked about Africa Innovation Week, but are there things in the works to have an ESC Innovation Week to drive things like regional integration and the AFCFTA? Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Anita. I think that's actually a great idea. I think I mentioned that we haven't planned yet, but definitely something which you actually can explore. And today we're actually having a discussion with our co-organizers at POSTEC because we had a session which was hosted by our colleagues from the from the SADC region, from South Africa, Namibia, and others. So it's like, okay, this is actually great, is that we can actually be able to use it to emulate for East Africa. So if Africa Innovation Week was made possible, why can't we do East Africa Innovation? And we have quite a number of East Africa-wide institutions that can actually help us do that. So definitely something that we are going to look at. Because to me, for innovators, they shouldn't be looking at one country as a market. They should be looking at the whole region as a market. So if we can have this platform that kind of put them together, help them learn about opportunities which are across the border, I think that could actually be something that we can be able to explore. So definitely, yes, that's an idea that we are looking at. And we'll be reaching out to the Kenya Innovation Agency to see whether they can actually make it happen. What we have done so in the past was just to kind of visit. As I said, I've been to the Kenya Innovation, the Nairobi Innovation Week. Now I think it's been rebranded. So we can look at maybe how next year we can have at least a session which is going to have our colleagues across the region having something together. So yes, thanks for raising that challenge that we're going to take over.
Thank you for asking the question, Anita, and for Joseph responding. I'm going to just go through the chat, and Juma will also get to you. So we have Athenas Mdoe saying, thank you, currently having issues with audio, but working awesome. If you need support, let us know. We'll be happy to jump in and support you. We have Abdallah Lungo saying, congratulations for all the preparations for this webinar. Tanzania, we like to see this event and wish you all the success. We also have Rashid Mwinyi from Pamoja Youth Initiative, one of our consortium members as well for You Lead Africa. He's saying, hi, Joseph. I just want to know, how does an organization become an Innovation Week regional hosting partner? And we also have another question. Would you like to respond to that, Joseph, before I go into the next question?
Yeah, sure. Well, what we usually do, we make a call to people to express interest on where they would like to host innovation in their own locality, and we actually got quite a number. That's how we ended up with 16. So people actually expressed interest, and yeah. So next year we expect to have more than 20 at least. Now that people have seen what can actually what can happen. So yeah. If Pamoja Youth Initiative are willing to host in their own area, they can do that. But even beyond that, that's someone who kind of coordinates in their own area. But partners also kind of apply to host their own events. So as I said, it's just an open platform. All we do is just support in terms of like theme, destination, branding, messaging, and everything else they do on their own, yes. So anyone is welcome to host an event.
Well, Rashid, now you have it. Hopefully next year when we are going through this process of Innovation Week preparations, feel free to put a bid in to host something for Zanzibar. Just to also mention, Pamoja Youth Initiative is based in Zanzibar, so we're going to be broadening our reach a bit with that. So karibu sana, Rashid. Then we have Charles Oyamo, who has asked in the chat, how is Innovation Week Tanzania working with institutions of higher learning to rope in the youth? The Nairobi Innovation Week is an initiative by the University of Nairobi, and it calls upon students to showcase their ideas. Nairobi Innovation Week just ended about 2 weeks ago, but I see Innovation Week Tanzania having good traction. All the best. So the question is around Innovation Week for Tanzania and how we're roping in higher learning institutions into the process of mobilizing young people.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, what we've been seeing lately, universities now kind of host the events at their own premises, which is a good thing. So the conversation at university is actually happening. But we are basically also going beyond that to devise some initiatives that target universities as institutions. In the past, it wasn't the case because universities were not kind of opening up to the ecosystem, but that now has changed because they have seen that it's actually a great opportunity for their students to actually engage while they are still at university, because some of them get good opportunities. So yes, we do engage them. Right now, I think there are 2 universities, especially in Dar es Salaam, that have are having sessions, the University of Dar es Salaam and also Tumaini University. But I also know, for instance, that in Arusha, one of the co-organizers, Nelson Mandela Africa Institute and the Institute of Accountants of Arusha. In Kilimanjaro, there is Moshi, University of Mukom. So they are now being engaged quite a lot. So as I say, of course, you rightly said that in Nairobi, the Nairobi Innovation Week was initiated by University of Nairobi, but I also understand that there was an initiative to kind of take it out, not just make it more like a university thing. I'm not sure how far that has gone, but yes, we are engaging them and we will continue to engage them. So thank you.
Thank you for that. I am so sorry, Juma, I missed your question. I do understand that Joseph has given us 30 minutes for today's session. He does have another engagement that he needs to go to. So Joseph, maybe just to bid thank you and appreciation for coming on board and sharing a bit more on Innovation Week. And at this point and at this juncture, we're going to be breaking a bit and going into our trivia questions. I see, Moses, you have a question. I don't know if it's addressed to Joseph.
Okay, I can stay for another 10 minutes, Beatrice.
Yes. So Moses, Karibu, pose your question.
Thank you, Beatrice, and thank you, Brother Joseph, for e-meeting here again. Moses here at URED, and thank you for the work you're doing and supporting. My question is, what has been your key achievement, like since you started that support? Like in statistics saying we supported Beatrice and Beatrice is employing like 10 people, like what has been those key achievements? And you said that I have like 4 or 5 entrepreneurs that are helping to curb out unemployment. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. So I will have to take credit from my last program, HDIF, because Fungo has just started. Maybe I didn't talk about Fungo Innovation Program, which is actually supporting the government in leading this. And it's still going to be providing catalytic financing startups and also helping strengthen the innovation support system, as well as working with the policymakers to improve the innovation enabling environment. So we haven't funded anyone under Funguo yet, apart from making this Innovation Week success. But under HDIF, we funded about 48 innovative projects. And as innovation, not everything succeeds the way you want it, but there are quite a number of them that I'm really proud of. Some of them we started with when they were still at startup, like a pilot phase, and now they are kind of continental names. For Tanzania, I think maybe even East Africa, people know about Ubongo, right? Ubongo Kids being their brand name, but they also have Akili and Me and stuff like those. That one, we started it when it was really small. So we funded it under HDF. Now it's gone across the continent, and their programs are being streamed in Kenya, Rwanda, West Africa, South Africa. Now they have even an office. So that's something that we're really proud that we have supported and has actually grown. The second one, still within the education sector, is Shule Direct. I think some of you might know them as well. Now I know that they're also operating in Kenya under franchise, but they have started from the beginning. We actually gave them the first seed capital to establish themselves. Now it's a household name in Tanzania. Within the water sector, for those who are in Arusha, I think you know Nanofilter. Professor Ilonga is much known to many of those. That one, we supported him when he was still in the lab at Nelson Mandela. Now see how far he has gone and been recognized continentally. Who else can I talk about? So there's quite a number that we have supported in education, in water. In health, most of the initiatives supported were more implemented by NGOs. Didn't turn out to be, we're not meant to be businesses, but when you look at businesses, I think those are some of the, you said 4, but those that could come out, is actually, which are still existing, actually doing good things. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Joseph. I'm a beneficiary of that filter. So thank you so much.
That is good to hear. You also mentioned a few beneficiaries that I also recognize: Nanofilters, Shule Direct. So it's good to hear the impact as well. But I personally also have a question that I'm going to interject and impose right now. Why the 3 specific areas: health, education, and WASH? Why Funguo is supporting those specific areas and not beyond that? Is there a reason? Is there data that is supporting this? What's the reason behind that?
Well, thanks. First of all, the water, the education, water and health and water sanitation was under HDIF. It's no longer the case. So right now we have broadened. Then it was defined that because that program was funded by the UK aid, and those are the areas that they thought they needed a bit of push, because they had been funding them, but they felt like the progress was not coming as far as they wanted. So they wanted to experiment another way of financing innovation within those sectors. And so that was basically then. But right now, because innovation cannot restrict to a certain sector, so Funguo is going to be sector agnostic. So we are going to support great innovations which are market driven, have shown some market potential in any sector. So we are not going to look at one sector or the other. But it could also happen that, this is going to be depending on funding from different partners. There could be a partner who is specifically interested in a certain area. So they could ask for a window to be open for that particular area. But as a program or as a facility, it's going to be open to any innovation within any sector. Thanks.
Perfect. So I'm hoping that everyone is listening to this, that they're open to supporting and engaging with innovators from all sectors, and not only the 3 that have been previously focused on. I see there are more questions. Joseph, I need to check with you. Are you okay to take
one last one?
Okay, perfect. Athena's Mdoe, Karibu.
Thank you. I'm just joining. Sorry for being late. But I would like to ask, have you partnered with the outside organization like myself? I'm from Kenya. and I've seen like I'm really interested in whatever you're going to do back in Tanzania. So have you ever, in your past working, have you ever been able to work with outside organizations?
Well, in terms of funding, we are still limited to the Tanzanian territory. So that basically gets to be determined by the funders. But we do not know what the future looks like. But in the past, when we started with HDA, for instance, we would get like a certain organization which doesn't have like proper experience in what they are doing. So we would actually advise them to work with anyone across the border. For instance, when Shure Direct started, they were working with ENESA Education in Kenya. And that's how they kind of built each other capacity. And there's also another one that we actually worked, which was working with another one outside. So that can happen because we also encourage like the cross kind of pollination of ideas and skills. Secondly, what Congo is going to be doing at the moment, I think you've heard, if you look at it, especially the when people look at the growth innovation ecosystem by gauging on how much money comes into the country, Tanzania isn't doing very well. So right now there's this thing they call kings. I mean, most money flows to Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, now Egypt, and Tunisia a little bit. In Tanzania, just very little. So people ask us, why not Tanzania? So that one of the things that we want to also kind of look at. And one of the things that we are going to be doing is also creating some kind of strategic linkages with external investors or funders, whether in Kenya or elsewhere, but also facilitate the startup to kind of create strategic partnerships with more established startups across the region, so they can be able to benefit funding from these investors. So yes, we are open to actually supporting startup or beneficiaries to actually work across borders. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Brother Joseph, and it's really nice to know that you have been trying your level best, at least to see that you're working with outside your area of maybe your area of specialization. I must say that I'm planning to also visit Zanzibar so that I might have one-on-one discussion with my friends over there. And maybe one of the requests I would like to at least make a visit to you maybe and share more on whatever you're trying to do, because we are still young, and I think the future is really into us, is really looking into us. Maybe we must be like having that connection, one-on-one connection, despite the boundaries, maybe despite the distance. So I'm really grateful and thank you for your nice work done, and I hope to see you when I visit Tanzania. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Athanas, for that question. So Joseph, I know you said this was the last question, and I think this is also our point to now, take a bit of a break. As we did say, this is a very fun space, so we're trying to, liven it up a bit. We're gonna go into our next segment. Ours is to say thank you again for taking the time to jump on the call with us and share a bit more about innovation. And we really do hope to hear, what's in the pipelines and the works for innovators all across Tanzania and the vision for East African innovators.
Thanks out, Beatrice. So thank you, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye. So we are now jumping on to our next segment, which is the trivia questions. As some of you are aware, this is something we piloted with last year as a means to really, gauge your knowledge, but also interact with you and see, what you know about your spaces, about the continent, and just general knowledge. So I hope you guys are excited, as I am, to participate in this trivia segment. I see my colleague has pulled up the screen, so maybe we can now start going through it. We are running a bit behind schedule, so hopefully we will take not longer than 5 minutes to do the trivia session. So thumbs up for those who are ready to interact with the trivia segment. And I see the first question. Awesome. I see Collins has put his thumbs up. So the first question is, what do the letter T and an island have in common? Oh, and the hint is water. I would not be able to guess that. Feel free to use your chat to drop the answers and responses. If not, also raise your hand. I'll be looking at my list over here to see whose hand is up. Athanas, do you want to attempt to respond? Because I see your hand is still up, or
Okay, thank you for the chance, and I think it is all about curiosity. I just raised my hand, but I wasn't even had checked the question itself. But again, I think the letter T in the island has a common with the kind of water droppings, which I see on that picture. I don't know if I'm right, but I think it has a relationship with water dropping, because the letter T, it is also found in water. So I think it has a great relationship there.
Thank you for that. Are we hot or cold, Kemi, with that answer?
We are a little bit warm. We are warm. A little warm there.
We're warm. We're not there yet. So I'm also going to be checking the chat, and I see Charles Oyamo has said, I like the idea of cross-border partnerships as startups grow. Thank you for the work you guys are doing. Just noting that Tanzanian startups are scaling within Jumuiya, limitless possibilities. Can't wait for Jumuiya Innovation Week. Wendy saying both in the middle of the water. I am not sure what you mean by that, Wendy. Maybe you can jump on and elaborate a bit more. We are allowed to, speak up a bit if you have an answer. Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you, Kemi. They're both in the middle of water. Nice call, Wendy. So next question. When is Innovation Week Tanzania? I know we have many of our partners on the call, so this should not be a miss. Any takers?
People are Googling.
Yeah.
People are Googling.
That is unacceptable. We do not accept cheating. Athanas, your hand is
up. Okay, I think I should try this because I've been following the Tanzania Innovation Week. I think this is day 3, of which it started yesterday, but 1, if I'm not wrong.
Well, Collins is saying 16th to 20th. Edoru Stephen Martin is saying it's this week. Rahema Sanga is saying it's the last day in Dar. That is very true. We heard Joseph give us a bit of a hint earlier that they did do their last day today, at least where they're hosting the main events. So Innovation Week is... Innovation Week is 16th to 20th May, Dodoma and Dar es Salaam. So for those that said this week, good try, but we do have a number of activities that are happening again, as Joseph mentioned, across 16 regions in Tanzania. So for more information, check the website and see what's happening within the area that you're in, whether it is in Dar, Arusha, Iringa, Zanzibar. Feel free to jump in. And Bay as well, and jump into those activities and those spaces and interact with different stakeholders. Last question, and then we jump on to the last segment of our session today. Malawi is bordered by the United Republic of Tanzania and 2 other countries. Name them. For those that did pass geography in high school, this one's for you.
Can I try?
I feel like I should ban you from responding to this.
Okay, let me not respond.
I see Rahema Sanga is saying Zambia. And any more responses, guys? Next week is Tanga. Yes, Abdallah, if you could share a bit more, if you're based in Tanga, on what's happening out there, and maybe we could get a few people to join and participate. In response to the question, Rema said Zambia and Zimbabwe. Blandina Adam is saying Mozambique and Zambia. Adoro Stefan is saying, I think there is Mozambique to the right. Okay, and the answer has been posted on the screen. Zambia and Mozambique. Well, I think that marks the end of our trivia questions. So if you do want to participate in this, and hopefully in the coming weeks, we would be having a little incentive for those that do participate in the trivia segment within Unplugged. So please do join and look out for all of our Unplugged series and sessions that are up and coming. Sorry, I had a bit of technical difficulties there. So we're jumping on to the next segment, and I would like to invite our next guest, Isaac Shayo, Program Manager for West Awele Startup House in Arusha. I hope you're still on the call with us, Isaac.
Yes, Beatrice, I'm still here.
Awesome. And I see you even have the logo behind you. By the way, just to mention and give a shout out, West Awele Startup House in Arusha has a beautiful space that is soon going to be launching. So if you're based in Arusha or if you plan to come visit Arusha, make sure you check out the space. So Isaac is going to be sharing a bit more on what has been happening in Arusha. So now we're bringing it down to, the local and grassroots level and really seeing how we're taking innovations in different spaces and how we're engaging in those spaces. So my first question to you, Isaac, and before I do ask, please feel free to drop your questions and comments in the chat. And if you do have a question for Isaac as he's sharing a bit more information, feel free to raise your hand and he'll be able to respond. My first question to you is around mobilization of young people and how we're getting them engaged. How are we bridging the gap, and tapping into really all of these young innovators in these different spaces? And really engaging them and supporting them to thrive and showcase their innovations. I know I was there during the launch of Arusha Innovation Week, and we had a number of entrepreneurs and innovators come in those spaces and showcase their work. But what are we doing in terms of mobilizing and engaging young people in this Innovation Week?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I remember actually this was one of the first questions we asked ourselves as the Innovation Week organizers for Arusha. How are we going to get the word out there? How are we going to get young people and everyone involved and excited about Innovation Week? And I think some of the really cool answers that we had for this question is that, like, young people, where can we reach them? They're already excited about innovation, they want to showcase and they want to participate, but really most of them are online. So even for this Innovation Week, most of the channels that we used were online channels. So social media, making like cool, interesting messages to send to people to invite them. And then also we set up a website with a lot of information about Innovation Week, where you can read all about Arusha Innovation Week. So that is arushainnovation.co.tz. You can see all the events that people are organizing, the different partners for Innovation Week Arusha. But in terms of engagement during the events in Innovation Week, it's really focusing on the theme for this year, that is innovation for sustainable development. And we see different partners are organizing different kinds of sessions. So we have things like exhibitions, we have partners organizing trainings and workshops, we have partners organizing program launches and pitching competitions that all sort of bring like a different vibe for the young people to participate and engage themselves during Innovation Week. So this is how we approached Innovation Week in Arusha, and I have to say it's going really well. The conversation both offline and online is really amazing. A lot of people are engaging, a lot of young people as well. So I think it was a good way to go.
Thank you, Isaac. And I do know that you also attended the official launch in Dar es Salaam. So maybe we could hear a bit more of some of the innovations you've seen and interacted with. Are they making strides towards sustainable development? And should we really be, supporting and carrying this out all throughout, like really inspire young people across the country?
Yeah, sadly I couldn't attend Dar es Salaam Innovation Week, but I have been following really online most of the innovations and what people are bringing onto the table. And really, I have to say, it is really inspiring getting to see how people are trying to solve development issues, how people are trying to push forward progress in terms of our communities and solving some of the challenges that we have. So it's really, really inspiring. in all the sectors, agriculture, for example, here in Arusha, we just had the agriculture innovation breakfast on Tuesday, and really people are bringing really cool innovations, and it's really inspiring. And also talking even to the people from SIDO and people from Taha, showing that there are multiple opportunities, not just, if you think about agriculture, not just in farming, but also in like processing and packaging. There's multiple avenues for innovation. And even we had one of our panel speakers talk about his innovation as well, that is trying to connect markets in terms of groceries from the farm to the consumer at home, such that they can get the product without having to move around. So it's really, really inspiring. Also, we are seeing innovations like TAI in Dar es Salaam also announce their app as well to help young women track their periods. So it's really, really inspiring stuff coming from Innovation Week. And this really is the spirit of Innovation Week, right? We've been working for a whole year on our innovations. And then during this 1 week, we come to like celebrate what we've all been working on and really showcase and really be proud of ourselves. And this is my 4th year attending Innovation Week as an organizer, as part of the organizing partners, and my 6th year attending as an attendee. And really every year, there's so much energy from all the partners, from the startups to the corporates, to the universities, to the development partners. Everyone brings so much energy to celebrate all the things that they've been working on in the past year.
Thank you, Isaac, on sharing a bit more about Arusha Innovation Week and how we're engaging young people. So we are running a bit out of time. I'm going to allow for questions, but in the meantime, as people prepare their questions and their comments and feedback, I'll just like to take a moment and recognize some of the implementing partners that have been working in Arusha towards implementing Innovation Week Arusha. Westawele Startup House Arusha has been leading and guiding a lot of partners in this process. We have Twende Hub as another implementing partner, Anza, Ndoto Hub, Institute of Accounts Business Startup Center, Digital Opportunity Trust, Silverleaf Academy, ULEAD Africa, MS Training Center for Development Corporation, have all been taking up different activities during the course of the week. So again, if you're interested and for more information, kindly visit the website innovationweektanzania.org. My colleagues will also drop it in the chat again. So we will allow for a few more questions since we are coming to the end of our session. We do try to make sure that we don't keep people on the call too long because it's at the end of the day and everyone's winding down and ready to, call it a day, at least for East Africa where it is almost 8 p.m. So Athanas, you're the first one to go. Karibu.
Thank you, Isaac. I think it is a nice share that you've just given. My question is, how is the experience towards the youth? Are youth willing to come out and at least have that involvement, that direct involvement? And what are the challenges that you have been facing since you started till that? How is the experience, challenges? Because here in Kenya specifically, where there are so many challenges that we youth, we tend to hide. We don't want to come out and at least have this engagement. How is the experience to your engagements, Isaac?
Yeah, so I would say for all the times that I've attended Innovation Week, the youth are really interested in participating. They want to see what's happening, what the different startups and corporates and everyone else is bringing to Innovation Week. Yeah, so that's been my experience here so far. And even the Innovation Week that we hosted here in Arusha, people are coming. Challenges, maybe some people might be a little bit shy to showcase and to talk about what they're doing. So you might find some people have really great ideas and like great innovations that they've worked on, but they don't really have that skill maybe to present or to showcase and talk about what they're doing. So it's really good if you could also, part of Innovation Week, maybe have sessions where people get to practice and to learn how they could communicate their ideas. I think that would really help to reach out to some of the people who are a little bit shy. But also one of the challenges for Innovation Week, and I think also Joseph maybe hinted at it a little bit, is that in the previous years, it's been mostly Dar es Salaam, and now they're trying to reach out to further in the other regions as well. So for example, now we're doing in Arusha, we did also in Kilimanjaro, and other 16 regions in Tanzania. So really a challenge for Innovation Week, and something that we need to figure out is how are we going to reach to the rural areas, to innovators in those spaces, to the young people in those spaces as well, and also like involve them in the conversation as well, and get their opinion as well, because they're also involved in development and innovation, and how can we also include their inputs in that?
Thank you. I think it's really nice to see that you are still really trying to have youth on board. And maybe my one more last question is: are there any kind of appreciation that you give to these youth who come out and share their innovations to other youth? Are you in any way having them being at least appreciated, at least to feel that in the next time I need to do better, or to pull more youth into your activities?
Yeah, I mean, that really depends on the organizer. Like Joseph said, the event really is not even about Funguo or HDF in the previous case, but it's really about the organizer, the partners that are coming in. So if the partner has some something that they want to provide to the people who are coming to showcase, so if they have a budget for that, or if they have anything that they can give, or even if just a token of appreciation, could be like a card or like a letter of appreciation, that also works. So really depends on the organizer, and what we can try to do is maybe bring on more organizer in terms of partners. So bringing the corporates, bringing other development partners as well, bringing also the government and universities to participate in Innovation Week, and then they can give something if they want during their event.
Thank you, Athanas, for asking those questions and to really want to understand, the second side of the story. So the innovators and how they're feeling and the experiences they're sharing. We do have another question in the chat from Bitijula Elaine. He says, thanks for this brilliant ideas that you're sharing today. I'm asking myself, how does this innovation involve refugees in the invitations? Ooh.
Yeah, maybe can Bitijula come on to the call and maybe explain further?
Yes.
I think that'll be good.
Please. We encourage our audiences to also speak up. So if you are in a place where you can, please do unmute yourself and ask the question and elaborate a bit more. And if not, you do also inform us in the chat. In the meantime, maybe while we give her or him a moment to prepare herself, I do know we have one more question from Juma Erasi. I don't know if they're still on the call.
Hi, Beatrice. Good evening, all. Thank you very much. My name is Juma Manuel Arasi, and I work at ULEAD Africa and Youth Hub Arusha, which both have been part of implementation of the Arusha Innovation Week. Mine is not more of a question, but rather just a heads up, like what happens after the Innovation Week in terms of sustainability of the innovators that participated in the Innovation Week. So I think there should be a more compact plan, which I know there is, but then just to strengthen the point and insist that young people and innovators, policy makers and other relevant stakeholders should like not only put so much efforts in the Innovation Week, but rather keep supporting the innovations and then assisting young people to scale up and expand in terms of market, technical capacity, business development, and so forth. Thank you.
Yes, Juma, thank you very much for that question. And I'm really glad you asked it because it was also one of the first things that we identified when we started planning for Innovation Week a couple of weeks ago. And what we came to was that, first of all, we're going to keep the conversation going. So, for example, for Arusha, Innovation Week is this week, and then for Dodoma, the final Innovation Week is next week. But after that, we shouldn't stop talking about all the things that we've learned and heard and seen during Innovation Week. So we are going to keep up the conversation. And then second is that during Innovation Week, people make statements and promises during the Innovation Week. So how do we also follow up on these? So just keeping track and also trying to follow up after Innovation Week to make sure that everything that we planned to do, we also can achieve after Innovation Week.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Juma. Isaac, I see Petijula has also responded in the chat and said they're not in a good position to speak, but his question was, how does this Innovation Week involve refugees and their innovation?
Yeah, so maybe just to say, to answer from what I understood, is that Innovation Week is really an open event. It's free, anyone can participate, you can attend. If you have your innovation, you can showcase as well, you can apply to showcase. So it's really an open platform. So even for refugees, I'd say you're free and open to participate as well. Attend as many events as you want. If you have an innovation during when they're starting to organize, you can also apply to showcase. Yes, so that's what I would say to that question. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. And on that note, I then also urge all the young people with innovations, whether it's at an ideation stage, or you're looking to scale up and really amplify the work that you're doing as a young entrepreneur and innovator, leverage on these spaces. As I think you've heard from the guest speakers today, it is a platform that allows you to connect with various stakeholders, from ecosystem enablers, so where you can build your capacity, technical skills around, building a business development plan and, financial literacy, all the way through to connecting with other innovators, sharing experiences, and policymakers and the likes of. So really, for young people out there, take a step. If you have an innovation, bring it out to these spaces so we can, shed light on how you're really striving for sustainable development in the different sectors, in the different spheres, countries, regions, localities, wherever you're tuning in from today. Be inspired and be encouraged. And on that note, we are bringing this session to an end. Thank you, Isaac, so much for also taking the time to jump on the call and really share a bit more about Arusha Innovation Week and what we've been doing around innovation in itself. And thank you all for joining in and tuning into the session. And we hope you'll be joining in on our next week's session. So stay tuned on our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We always put up posts on the next series and the titles and the guest speakers we'll be hosting, but also feel free to message and reach out to us, if you have a speaker in mind that you would want to engage, or a topic that you'd want us to address that is relevant for young people in the different spaces. So I would like to say goodbye to all of you and enjoy the rest of your evening, wherever you're tuning in from.
Tusonga mbele mama Afrika, Afrika, Tusonga mbele mama Afrika, Afrika, Kwa pamoja Afrika, mwishani
young men and women, with the pillars, with the future. Here we are, let's join together with ability to change communities, with love, with peace, to respond to our need, to call for unity. Africa, hear me cry, never leave me alone. As I see light in a brighter future, let's join hands for youth and women.